Grace and peace, Dr. Tammy here. I just want to speak to you for just a moment about layered grief when losses multiply. When losses multiply. And let me just start out by just giving you a little bit of my story. When I speak to you on grief, I speak to you from personal experience. At 30 years old, I lost my mother. And I don't know about you, but my mom was my crutch. She was my rock when I would be going through. She always had a word of encouragement. She always had a rub on the back or something that would always make me calm, make me comfortable. Even when I was struggling financially, she always had a little money tucked to the side. You know, my mom was like one of those most kind, loving persons that you would ever want to have in your life. Now, she was stern. She meant what she said, and I'm grateful for that sternness. It made me who I am today. But she was my rock. Literally, when my mom passed of breast cancer, it really felt like my world had came tumbling down. Like maybe I was sitting in a chair and somebody just snatched a chair from under me and I just fell to the ground. At that moment, I could not stand up. You know, I was one of the stronger ones. I'm the baby of the family, but I don't really have major emotions like most people do, although I'm emotional, but I think I'm pretty tough on the exterior. So when my mom passed, planning the funeral and doing a whole lot of things, and I didn't take time to grieve. So about 2 weeks after she passed, we ended up having her a memorial service because we were going to do like a fundraiser for her, but she didn't make it to that time. So we had a memorial service, and on my way home, my children and I had my best friend in the front seat. On 77, I lived in Charlotte, leaving from Statesville. I don't know what happened. I just kind of zoned out. And on the way home, I was just thinking like, wow, she is really gone. You know, what am I going to do? I don't want to live. I can't go on. All these things I'm saying in my head. And in that moment, I'm doing like 120. I'm not sure. I was going really, really fast, like too fast for someone to be driving with their children in the car. My oldest son was 15. My twins were 6. And my oldest son in the back seat, he said, Mama, slow down. You're going to kill us. And at that moment, I came to myself and I snapped out of it. But in that moment, I didn't care about life. I didn't care about anything else but what I was feeling in that moment. That's why I'm so passionate about being able to process and deal with grief. That was 20 years ago. I could have killed all of us. I could have been responsible for killing somebody else just because I didn't know in that moment how to process grief. I didn't know really what grief was. So in that moment, 4 years later, my sister, which was like 13, 12 years older than me, she kind of helped raise me. She always kept my hair done. She always watched us when my mother parents were working. She was close, but it was like a different type of close. Like she was the boss. If you anybody got a boss in the family, well, she was the boss. Lisa was the boss. So I lost my sister Lisa to a tragic car accident. After that, my brother, we're really close family. I lost my brother to gun violence, and then after that, my father to leukemia, and after that, then it's my son. I have twin boys of three boys, but my son, which was the baby boy, Demetrius, got killed in a tragic hit and run where he was hit by 3 cars, so much so that we couldn't view the body. He was unrecognizable. So here I am dealing with all of this, but people tell me often, oh, you're so strong. How do you do it? I've had a lot of practice. Because these deaths that I've experienced, I've had aunts and uncles and cousins, but these deaths that I'm talking to you about now are really close. You know, this is my close family members. And after my son, I'm grieving through this. I'm not wanting to get out of bed. I'm not wanting to move or live again. But I had to realize, I have other children that was dependent on me, that needed me. Not only that, I have grandchildren. I love my grandchildren and they need me. So I'm like, okay, I can't die now. I can't quit. I can't stop. I can't tap out because there are other lives that are depending on me. And my sister, Tanya, we're 14 months apart. She and I were very close. My mom used to dress us like twins because my older siblings, they were older. So it was three of them that kind of grew up together. And then my sister and I, my mom remarried, and my sister and I, we grew up together. So we had gotten really, really, really closer, because we've always been close, but a lot closer right before she passed. So here I am battling, still grieving through the loss of my son. Now I'm battling and dealing with the loss of my sister, so much so that out of all of these other deaths, they were all dear to my heart. They were all traumatic. But when my sister passed, it was almost like a part of me had passed. I started having anxiety attacks. All of these different things were happening to me. So I want to help someone else process through grief, because I understand how devastating grief can be. I understand the toll that it really, really takes on your body, to the point to where you're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're going through the motions, but you're really not living to the best of your ability, because there's so many traumatic hits after hit after hit after hit after hit. And then I just realized somewhere along the line, you have to stop, you have to breathe, and you have to process. Sometimes I'll say, okay, God, what next? Okay, I got through that part. What next? Because I realized that one death, if it's not processed, not even death, one loss, if it's not processed properly, then you're going to have to go through it all over again. It awakens past situations. It awakens, one breakup can awaken abandonment issues that you have not dealt with even from a childhood. There's people that have church hurt, that when they get hurt by someone in the church, because they feel like people in the church are not going to hurt them. People in the church are supposed to care and love genuinely with the agape love. And then when they get hurt by someone in the church, it brings up past betrayal issues. That's why you have to learn how to process losses. You have to learn how to process hurt the proper way, because if not, you're going to be repeating the cycle over and over and over again. The present loss becomes a doorway to the past. And if you're not healed from your past, it's just the doorway for the new issue to come right back in different clothing. This is not instability, but it is something that you need to deal with. You're not going through these things just because you want to. These are things you're dealing with that you haven't processed. So you're going to have to repeat the cycle. When grief is layered, emotions, they run wild. Tears arrive with no explanation. Anger surfaces unexpectedly. You'll say, why does this hurt so much? Because it's a hurt on top of a hurt on top of a hurt. More than one loss, more than one grief, more than one issue is speaking. One unprocessed grief does not disappear. It just keeps going and going and going. Grief ignored is not gone. Grief delayed, it just sits and waits for you to deal with it. Ecclesiastes 3:4 says, there is a time to weep. Weeping is normal. Weeping is necessary. Please do not let anybody tell you, oh, you've cried enough. Oh, it's time for you to dry your tears and stop crying. If you feel like crying, cry. There should be a time to where you won't really have to cry at the drop of a dime like you may be doing now, but you still have to go through those motions, go through those emotions and cry if you need to. If not, those that particular grief and losses will become layered. And what happens if the grief is layered, your body doesn't do well. The nervous system, it stays activated. It's like in a fight or flight mode. You're always snapping. Your nervous system is all discombobulated. Your emotions are all over the place. You've got anxiety and all these other things going on. The sleep is getting less and less. It's hard to focus. I don't know about you, but if you've ever experienced being under so much pressure, so much grief, and it could be loss of a relationship, loss of a career, something that's dear to you that you're used to having and used to doing. I got to the point where I couldn't remember anything. My focus was terrible. I couldn't remember what I ate on yesterday. I couldn't remember what I had planned, or I go in a room and say, what did I come in here for? Now, mind you, this is 20 years ago. What did I come in this room for? Because I didn't realize I wasn't processing grief the way that I should. So Proverbs 17:22 says, a crushed spirit dries up the bones. You know, you have to be able to allow God to get in there and minister to your heart, minister to your spirit, and let some things go. Healing happens in layers. Just like the grief is in layers, healing happens in layers. You have to be able to get free from one thing at a time. You don't have to process everything all at once. You heal where you feel safe. You heal what feels safe for now. Deeper layers surface as strength grows. As strength grows, then you'll be able to take off deeper layers. For instance, if you're battling with anxiety, you know, you got to do some things to get that anxiety under control. Work on your thoughts, the things that you think about. You know, sometimes you got to think about the good memories, the happy times. You got to think about the good things opposed to things that are going to make you go into a spiral. Oh, I should have did this. I should have did that. You can't change any of that. And the Bible says in Psalms 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. You need God to bind up your wounds so that you can begin to get to a new and a healthy place, to being a healthier you. Acceptance says more than one loss is present, and I understand that. So I'm going to deal with one loss at a time. I should be over it by now, but I'm not. The Bible says in Psalms 55:22, cast your burdens on the Lord. He cares for you. Acceptance creates safety. Safety allows for deeper layers to be released gently. In order for you to be healed from the childhood trauma and the abandonment, you have to be healed from the rejection of a friend or a loved one or someone that you really thought cared about you. You got to be healed from that first. And once you conquer that, then you can dig deep and go get the other things that's lying dormant. You're not going backward. You're going deeper. You're not going backwards. It feels like you're going backwards because sometimes hurt and things resurface. And it's like, oh, I thought I got over this. You didn't get over it. You just swept it under the rug and buried it as if it was going to go away. Trauma never goes away. It just keeps growing. And sometimes it just lies in dormant and it just waits for something else to come by and uncover it. That's why therapy teaches you that there's awareness of the situation reduces the shame. Naming the layers of things that you're dealing with, it brings regulation. You know, some things are just irregular in our life because we haven't named the thing that's really got us stuck. We have not named the thing that's really bringing what's triggering us. And faith affirms that God will meet you right where you are. When you're able to name the thing that's really got you bound and held you captive, then God can meet you right there. I said it before, God deals with honesty. A lot of times we're like, God, you know where I am. You know what I'm dealing with. He knows, but he wants you to admit where you are. And then the scripture says in 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you. God can bring you through that. And sometimes you won't even be delivered from it, but he'll help you learn how to process your way through it. You'll have those memories and you'll still be able to smile and rejoice and not cry. You'll be able to process right through it for the next phase. God does not heal by flooding you. He heals by pulling one thing off at a time, one layer off at a time. And one thing I like about God, He'll take you at your own pace. As long as you're walking, as long as you're moving, he's still going to keep talking with you. He's still going to keep covering you. He's still going to keep pulling you through that process. Grieving is a process. So when you have layered grief, the best thing to do is just slow down. Allow memory without panic. Seek support without apology. If you have your person, listen, I really need you today. And sometimes you may not need them to say anything. You may just want them to sit with you. You may just want them to listen to you vent. Because I found out when you do not vent, when you don't get those feelings and emotions off of you, eventually you will explode. That's what was happening to me when I was driving that car on 77 with my friend and my children in there going like 120 miles per hour. I hadn't talked about it. I hadn't vented. I hadn't said it. I just kept going through the motions like everything was okay. And it was not okay. In my mind, I'm saying I can't live without my mother. But on the outside, oh, I'm okay. I'm fine. But I really wasn't. Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens. You have to have that person that's willing to sit with you. And not only that, you have to be that person that's willing to sit with somebody else. You may not have all the answers. One thing about grief, a lot of times you don't know what to say. And if you say too much, you're going to say the wrong thing. The worst thing you can say is, oh, they're in a better place. We don't want to hear that. We want that place to be right here with us. So you have to learn how to really communicate when someone is grieving. When loss is multiplied, grief is layered. When grief is layered, healing has to be gentle. If it's not gentle, at times you'll digress. And the very thing that you thought you got healed from, in my instance, when my mother passed or when my sister passed, when my brother passed away, then I could be right back in that same place. But I learned how to process the grief. I learned that I needed to talk. I learned that I needed to breathe. I learned that I need to step away and take moments. And I learned just for me that I couldn't keep going to the gravesite and just reliving that trauma. I couldn't keep going. You have to know what works best for you. For somebody, it may be relief in going to the gravesite every year or every anniversary. But for me, I couldn't do that because it put me in a place to where it was so hard for me to come back from. My mom was a pastor. So a lot of times when we would go to different pastoral anniversaries, I would be numb. I thought it was okay when I went because I want to celebrate this man or this woman of God. I want to be there with them. But when I got there, all of my feelings and emotions are saying, okay, why am I not able to celebrate my mother and her pastoral anniversary? Why am I not able to get up and say some encouraging words to her? Why am I not able to sing her favorite song? Why am I not? So your mind would play tricks on you. You have to, the Bible says, to cast down every high thing that exalts itself up against the knowledge of God and bring it into a captivity, the obedience of Christ. You have to be able to cast those things down. And that's why when I lost my son, anybody that knew me on Facebook, you knew when I was having a moment because I was posting all of these pictures and memories and people were like, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. I wasn't doing it to get attention. That was my way of processing. But I learned after a while that it made me stuck. And then it made my children stuck because they'd be in a good mood. And here I am posting all these pictures of their brothers. So they're triggered. Now they're going through this trauma all over again. So a lot of times we have to be considerate of not only ourselves, but we have to be considerate of others. And that's the hardest thing to do because most of the time we want to be selfish because this is my moment and this is how I want to process it. Grief is not failing you. You just have to learn how to deal with it. Grief is revealing What still needs care? Whatever that looks like, you have to be able to do it and do it with ease, knowing that once I get through this place, I'm crying now, but I'm not always going to be crying. Just me, myself, I never thought that I would be able to sit here and encourage somebody else on how to get through grief, because it almost killed me, literally. Physically, it almost killed me. With my siblings, with my son, emotionally, it almost killed me. But I'm grateful that I had people in my life that knew when I was hurting, that knew when I was broken, that knew how to let me be, let me get that quiet time, but not allow me to stay too long. Because the problem is, we can stay too long. There were times when I was really, really battling. My husband would call my best friend and say, hey, let's take her out. Let's get her out of the house. Let's go get something to eat. Let's do something. You have to be able to get that relief, but you got to want it. You have to want it. Grief comes in layers. The best way to get through those layers is like an onion. You got to just peel it off one layer at a time. And even when you're peeling an onion, your eyes may burn. It may hurt. Your eyes may hurt. The smell might not be the greatest in that moment. But once you get that onion cut up, once you get it in your favorite food and it's all seasoned and it's softened, then you'll notice there was purpose for that onion. Even though your eyes were burning, even though you were crying, even though it didn't feel good, it didn't smell good, there was purpose in peeling the onion. You have to know that there's purpose in pulling off every layer of frustration. You got to pull it off. Every layer of hurt, you have to pull it off. Every layer of unforgiveness, you have to pull it off. Every layer of guilt and shame, you have to pull off every layer so that you can properly heal and help somebody else. Because listen, what you go through is not just for you. There's somebody else that's going to need your story. There's somebody else that's going to need exactly what you are dealing with. And you're not going through it for yourself. If nothing else, you're going through it for your children. You're going through it for somebody else that looks up to you, somebody else that is watching you. In my story, my question when my son passed was, what are my children going to do if they see me tap out? I already knew they was going to tap out because they were already trying to tap out. So if I would have tapped out and gave up and stayed in a dark room and not went to work, used all of my vacation days, and what do you think they were going to do? I already knew what they were going to do. So sometimes we carry people that need us to carry them. When we feel weak, God is our strength. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. Now, I'm not telling you that you're going to be the strongest, because you're not. I'm speaking to you for 20 years of consistent experience. I didn't even mention my aunt that passed away that I was very, very close to. I was her armor bearer, and my mom's other sister, and then her brother. And I've had so many traumatic losses. But guess what? God left us here for a reason. And my spiritual sister, Pastor Nakisha Kosi, Prophetess Kosi, when she spoke at my son Demetrius' funeral, her words to us was, what are you going to do in the dash? He was born in 1999 and he passed away in 2019. For him, his life was short, but he touched so many lives. He was on the Ellen Show 3 times. Like, he was very, very musically inclined. And they had, Darius and Demetrius had a lot of fans and people that really loved them. But not only that, they touched a lot of lives. So I knew what he did with his dash. So my question to you today is, what are you going to do with your dash? There's still purpose on your life. Even though you feel like you can't make it, you feel like you can't breathe some days, there's still purpose. God still has need of you. He's got something for you to do. He's got something for you to say. He's got somebody waiting to hear your story. What are you going to do with that dash? You've got to live. You have to live. Don't give up. Peel off those layers and stop existing and live. Because I often say, your loved one, if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, they wouldn't want you to be sad. They wouldn't want you to be depressed. They wouldn't want you to be going backwards. And if there's a loss of something that was dear to you, materially, it may mean something to you, but guess what? God has greater. Sometimes you got to lose something to gain something. You have to be able to let go of what was so that you can get what is. Yes, the divorce may have hurt, but God has something greater for you. Yes, the ministry may have failed. God has something greater for you. Yes, you lost that great job and things were going well, and then all of a sudden it's no longer here. That good money that you were making, if he did it before, he can do it again. And guess what? He can give you more pay than you had before this time around. And I want to encourage somebody and just let you know it's going to happen. All you have to do is trust God and believe it and watch it come to pass. It's going to happen. Pull off that weight of heaviness and just begin to put on that garment of praise and say, God, I don't see it, but I thank you that it's coming. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I thank you that it's mine. I just wanted to encourage you today. Take off those layers and allow God to heal you completely and wholly so that you can accomplish everything that he's destined for you to do. God bless you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.